I want you to picture this moment. There's a big boat. It's a big cruise ship. All these people are on it. And boom, hits an iceberg, okay, Titanic style. And the boat starts going down. And the life rafts on one side of the boat, for whatever reason, maybe there's high seas or something, they start filling up with water and they're dragging the boat under the water. Instead of helping, they're a drag. But the people who are in charge of the boat, they look at the lifeboats and they say, that's going to be our way out. We need those lifeboats. But you're standing there on the deck looking at them saying, no, we have to cut the lifeboats loose. But the people who are in charge of the boat say, no, that's such a bridge too far, then we'll never have lifeboats. And essentially, in a bid to save themselves, the people who are running the boat are actually going to doom everybody. That is our government. That is the GOP. In a bid to kind of keep things normal, hey, let's not rock the boat, pardon the pun. Let's just let the boat go down. We are $33 trillion in debt. Did you know, I want you to wrap your mind around this. You know our military budget is gigantic, right? It's huge, bigger than the next several countries combined. Huge military budget. The interest on our debt now exceeds our military budget. What am I saying? We have a 45-day funding bill. And of course, we got rolled. Democrats got virtually everything they wanted, with the exception of Ukraine funding, which they're going to get in the end anyway. They got everything. And Republicans are all hand-wringing. Oh, what should we have done? Should we have taken the border money? Did Matt Gaetz screw it up? All these other things. This should have been an all-hands-on-deck meeting to cut the lifeboats because the ship is going down. And instead, 90 Republicans voted against it in the House, only 9 in the Senate. For the most part, Democrats and Republicans came together once again to keep those lifeboats right where they are. It all seems so predictable, doesn't it? And for people like you, for people like me, who understand history, and we understand where this is going, it's horrific to watch. This country can still be saved if drastic, dire action is taken now. And no one wants to take it. And I think about this a lot because every time I read a history book or I watch a documentary, I was watching another one this weekend on some various empire. This one was the Ottomans. On any various empire towards the end as they start to crumble, as they start to fall. And you look back with 20/20 hindsight on the nation and you say to yourself, man, this point right here, if right at this point right here, they could have stopped everything and switched it around, done a 180 and headed the other direction. They could have saved it. And yet, nobody did. They didn't do it. And this is empire after empire after empire after empire throughout history. There's always a moment, a thing they could do to save it. And they never do it. And that's what we see now. And that's what the Republican Party really is, honestly. So let me spoil something for you. What this is 45 days. 45 days of funding the government. So essentially, they have 45 days now to buckle down, all hands on deck, everybody get here, and let's figure out how to save this country from the $33 trillion in debt that will slam into it like a hydrogen bomb. Instead, they've already scheduled 6 weeks off during that time. You see, after 45 days, Mr. Producer, go ahead and write this one down. Go ahead and put a timestamp on it. 45 days from this day right now, we will be giving you a show, bringing you a show right here on I'm Right. Unless that's a weekend, I don't have a calendar in front of me. But 45 days from this moment right now, we will be here bringing you a show discussing the next temporary funding bill the GOP came together with Democrats to fund. You can write that down, etch it in stone. If they had a bet on that in Vegas, you should bet your life savings on it. It is a guarantee because the lifeboats must remain where they are, guaranteeing all of us are going down in flames. So please don't ask me to sit here and give a crap about the Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy speakership fight.
Are you going to make a motion to vacate?
Speaker McCarthy made an agreement with House conservatives in January, and since then he has been in brazen, repeated material breach of that agreement. I do intend to file a motion to vacate against Speaker McCarthy this week. I think we need to rip off the Band-Aid. I think we need to move on with new leadership that can be trustworthy.
Okay. McCarthy shot back with this. It's war words now.
Yeah. There is a lot to get to with you. I want to start, though, on the news this morning from Congressman Matt Gaetz, who says he's going to seek a motion to vacate. He's going to try to oust you as Speaker of the House.
Well, that's nothing new. He's tried to do that from the moment I ran for office. Look.
Well, this time he says he's going to keep going. May not get there before the 15th ballot, but it took 15 for Kevin McCarthy. He says he's coming for you. Can you survive?
Yes, I'll survive. You know, this is personal with Matt. So be it. Bring it on. Let's get over with it, and let's start governing. If he's upset because he tried to push us in a shutdown, and I made sure government didn't shut down, then let's have that fight.
I don't care. You two can fight. Vacate it. Don't vacate it. Who's saving my country? And look, part of the reason I don't care is I don't have any hope in any of these people. They just screwed us again. What's the big story of the weekend? The one everyone was talking about, the new shiny object. Jamal Bowman, that idiot communist from New York, he commits a felony on videotape. One, he's the dumbest human being in the history of the United States Congress, and that's saying something. Not because he pulled the fire alarm, and not because of his lame excuse that I didn't know it was a fire alarm. All those are predictable. Okay, he's a commie piece of trash and also a liar. That's all very predictable. He's the dumbest person in the history of the world for not realizing the United States Capitol is the most surveilled area in the world. You can't go take a dump in the United States Capitol without the security services there giving you an accurate rundown on how it went for you. Everything is on videotape in that place. And yet the sitting congressman from New York, one of the sitting congressmen from New York, actually believed he could get away with just pulling the fire alarm and no one wouldn't find out. But honestly, none of this matters anyway. This goes back to my none of this matters anyway. Because, okay, that's a member of the House immediately committing a felony on video. It's black, white. There's no arguing. It's not left, right, middle, not Democrat, Republican, communist, anti-communist. It's on videotape. What should we be doing today? What should have already been done today? Jamal Bowman should have been expelled from the House of Representatives, placed under arrest, and sent to prison. But let me spoil something for you. None of those things are going to happen. Jamal Bowman is not going to get expelled from the House. He's not going to go to prison. Why? Because the Department of Justice is wholly run by the communists in this country. You don't have any power federally in this nation anymore, which is why you need to retreat to a red state. But we're not going there right now. That's reason number one. He's not going to be charged. And two, you try to get Republicans to stand for something, and this is what you get out of Republicans every single time.
I was really appalled of watching Democrats' actions today to delay it to get to a shutdown. But when we found that an individual elected to Congress would pull a fire alarm, that's a new low. We watched how people have been treated if they've done something wrong in this Capitol. It'll be interesting to see how he is treated on what he was trying to obstruct when it came to the American public.
Can you imagine how scared Jamal Bowman must be right now? We just pointed out the hypocrisy. Whoa! He's in trouble now, guys. The GOP just pointed out the double standard and the hypocrisy. Buckle up, Jamal. Gonna be a rough time for you. Ain't going anywhere.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be in Philadelphia on October 9th to make a major announcement at the very birthplace of our nation. I'm not going to tell you right now exactly what that announcement will be. I can say, though, that if you've been waiting to come to one of my public events, this will be the one to come to.
That's not good. And let me explain why that's not good. One, major announcement. When you're backing out of a presidential race, hanging up the spurs, calling it quits, whatever term you want to put on it, you don't have a gigantic rally in the birthplace of the nation to stand up in front of all your followers and let them know that you were calling her quits. No, this is a different kind of major announcement. And, well, there's a line from a movie once, and I forget what movie it is. I think the movie, don't quote me on this, is Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Yes, that's the name of a movie. It's kind of a mob movie. Very cool. Not for the kids, but I believe this is a line from that movie, although I'm not sure. One of the mobsters says there's something you can always trust, the word on the street. You can always trust the word on the street. Word on the street is Tony's doing this. Word on the street is that. Well, the word on the street in politics is RFK Jr. is going independent. This has been something I've talked to you about before. This has been something I have feared for quite some time. You will remember when we've talked about it before, this is why I saw this coming. It wasn't hard to see coming. Here comes this lifelong Democrat. He's a Kennedy, obviously. He joins the Democrat primary, what he thinks is going to be a Democrat primary. In a lot of ways, RFK Jr. has this old view of what America used to be. RFK joins this Democrat primary and thinks he's going to be able to compete or something like that. But RFK, like many Americans on the left, right, and center, RFK really, really, really misunderstands what time it is. He doesn't understand what kind of country he lives in now. He has some great ideas about some things, but he doesn't understand the Democrat Party. It's just the Communist Party of America. If you think about them like the Bolshevik Party, then you'll have a better understanding of how they run things. I'm not trying to be over the top. That's what they are. They're all communists, and that's how they run their party, with an iron-fisted, centralized control system that would never, ever tolerate dissent or some kind of challenge from an outsider. So he gets in this presidential race, and he thinks he's going to, hey, let's have some debates and have a war of ideas. Not going to be allowed to debate. Of course, they're not going to. They're going to put him up there with Joe Biden. Did you see Joe Biden over the weekend?
I hope this experience for the speaker has been one of a personal revelation. I'm not being facetious. Anyway.
Yeah, they're not going to let RFK Jr., who's very much in control of his faculties, they're not going to let Joe Biden go debate that guy. So what's happened? RFK Jr., he ran headlong into the Communist Party of America, the Democrats. And they've told him, debates? No. There aren't going to be any debates. So he's being frozen out of the process. And he's going to announce that he's going to run as an independent. There are many different theories about this. I will just tell you personally, I believe that this is complete disaster for Republicans. If Trump does turn out to be the nominee, and it looks like right now he will, if we have an independent run from someone who's seen as an outsider, who stands up to Big Pharma and talks in truthful ways about that poison shot they call a vaccine, and then you have Biden and Trump, and then you have RFK, I am extremely concerned that RFK is going to pull so many votes away that we can't possibly win.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Okay. Now, let's get something out of the way first. This is not the end of the world. I'm so floored by how many dorks there are in politics, on TV and radio, and people who write about it. I'm just blown away by this. People who clearly have never lived normal lives with real concerns, families, costs, things like that. You listen to the political world for the last 24 hours, and no matter where you fall on the spectrum, everybody's acting as if this is some life-changing thing. Oh my gosh, it's the Speaker of the House. Who gives a crap? I care about 20% cost in groceries going up. I don't care about Kevin McCarthy. I don't care about Matt Gaetz. I don't care about any of them. I don't like the House of Representatives. I don't even like the GOP. I don't care. Now, maybe you're wondering what you should be thinking about all this. And here's why it gets confusing. And other people make it confusing. This is why it gets confusing. Because people try to simplify it. I know that doesn't make sense, but that is why it gets confusing. Whenever there's something that happens, Kevin McCarthy gets bounced, for instance, everyone will run to the TV and the radio. Maybe you're on your phone, on social media. And what's everyone doing? You're trying to figure out whose side you're on, and you're trying to figure out who the good guys and bad guys are. No, that guy's a good guy, and that guy's bad, and that guy's always good, and that guy's always bad, and this guy's good, and he's doing it for good reasons, and this guy's bad, and he's doing it for bad reasons. And so it's black and white, and it's crystal clear, and this is right, and this is wrong. And the truth is, when it comes to life, war, politics, or anything else, life is complicated. This whole thing's complicated. There are some really, really, really great people who voted to bounce Kevin McCarthy from being Speaker yesterday. There are a lot of really, really terrible people who voted to bounce Kevin McCarthy from being Speaker yesterday. There are a lot of really, really wonderful people who voted to keep Kevin McCarthy as Speaker yesterday. What you saw yesterday, Game of Thrones power politics, is really all it was. Matt Gaetz, do you have to love Matt Gaetz? No, you don't. Matt Gaetz is an obnoxious human being, very clearly a narcissist. He's running for governor of Florida. That's a big reason why he did what he did. This is good publicity, sending out fundraising emails. That doesn't mean Matt Gaetz did something bad, though. Okay, narcissistic jerks can do good things that I like, too. So I can like what Matt Gaetz did and personally kind of find him off-putting. I dislike Kevin McCarthy. I'm happy he's gone. I really wanted to sit down here tonight and have this talk. More than anything else, the speaker stuff and whatnot. I wanted to have this talk. Change. Change is one of those things that we hate, and yet it is inevitable, and oftentimes it helps us. Change is almost always uncomfortable, though. That's why we hate it. If you want to change yourself, you're too fat. I'm not saying you're too fat. Maybe you are. Who knows? People struggle with weight. If you want to change that in a meaningful way, I'm not talking about going out and getting surgery. You want to change that in a meaningful way. You know what it looks like? It doesn't look pretty. You're not going to put it up on Instagram. Oh my gosh, look at my hair. It looks like a red face, sweat, smelly, miserable. That's what it looks like to go from being fat to in shape. Change hurts. Change is hard. And in life, whether it's a business, a city, a country, whatever a team, a sports team, whatever the case may be, when a change agent, a human being who is a change agent, who does things differently, when he is introduced, it is human nature to be repulsed by him. But if you say you want change, then things have to change. People on the right love talking about how corrupt and evil the government is. It's awful, it's terrible, I hate it, it's horrible, things have to change. Yes, it's got to change. When are things going to change? Things have to change. Everything has to change. And then along comes change one day, and it doesn't come along in a form that we all love, and we say, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. What is all this change? Well, if change agents talked and acted like everyone else, then they wouldn't be change agents now, would they? What I'm saying to you is this. Our system is so broken, it's difficult to even see the end of the tunnel. It's difficult to see a way where we can save our federal system. We are adding, everything else aside, everything else aside, we are adding $1 trillion to the debt now every 3 months. You see, what's happening is, I'm trying to explain this in a way that's not going to freak people out, but the end of nations, the end of empires, it's something I study. I read it all the time. I love it. It always seems to happen slow and then all at once. It's crazy how often that happens. An empire will be at its peak and then 20 years later, everyone's still alive, gone, smoldering ruins. We are about to be a nation with a debt crisis that will forever alter your standard of living and my standard of living, and it's not 50 years away. You will live to see it. It's coming now. What should be happening right now is an emergency all-hands-on-deck meeting between Republicans, Democrats, independents, and everybody. There should be an emergency session called now to discuss the few things the government's going to keep. Why? Because everything else must be slashed and burned in order to save the United States of America. Instead, these people never even bring it up. Or if they do, it'll be in some random passing, like the debt, some annoying thing you kind of have to just talk about briefly. There is an avalanche speeding toward us that will wipe us all out. And yet, we're talking about continuing resolutions. You say you want things to change, well, then it's got to get uncomfortable. I'm going to play you a video. It's very, very brief. It's only a couple seconds long. Patrick McHenry, he's the temporary speaker. He's not really speaker, speaker pro tem. He's speaker until they have a vote in a week to get a new speaker. He's a close friend of Kevin McCarthy, one of these establishment types. He was gaveling out the Congress yesterday. I want you to watch something, and I want you to watch how angry he is as he gavels this out. And then I'm going to ask you a question. Watch this.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Whew. Man, he's mad. Ugh, scary. So let me leave you with this. And I really want you to think about this. You follow politics. You're watching me here on I'm Right on the First TV. Name me one time. I'm not even asking for 2 or 5 or 10. I want you to name me one time in your entire life you saw Republican leadership, not some conservative firebrand, Republican leadership show that level of anger about any of the crimes they commit routinely on the floor of the House of Representatives. Did you see anybody in Republican leadership gaveling like that when the Inflation Reduction Act passed? Obamacare? Gigantic $1 trillion bill after $1 trillion bill? When's that last emergency meeting you remember where Republican leadership, they were so mad they were gaveling like that about the $33 trillion in debt that's about to end the United States of America? Can you name me even one time? You've never seen it. In order to get that level of anger and emotion and righteous indignation from the Republican leadership, all you have to do is take away the speakership from one of theirs. Oh, then they get mad. So don't ask me to love Kevin McCarthy or Matt Gaetz or the House or how everything went down. Frankly, don't ask me to care. But what I do know is the status quo, all these people talking about governing, there's going to be nothing left to govern without massive changes very soon. I saw something, actually I saw it this morning, it blew me away. And I've seen this stat before, but it just, every time I see it, it floors me. The percentage of this population that believes things that are not even close to true. And it brings me back, before I actually get to that, it brings me back to my sky is green theory. I haven't talked about that in a long time, but you know what the sky is green theory is. You've heard me say it a million times. In case you're a new viewer, because our system's built on lies, you can get a huge percentage of this population to not only believe, but regurgitate to others outright lies their own eyes tell them are false. You can look up right now and see that the sky is blue. Everyone can. Everyone with eyes can look up and see that it's blue. But if the system, if this corrupt system decided they wanted you to believe the sky is green, they could do it with a huge percentage of this country. It would be news story after news story after news story about the new scientific discovery of the green sky. It would be in the Hollywood movies. Your child would come home with homework assignments, having to talk about the science behind the green sky. Democrats would push green sky, green sky, green sky. Republicans would be too scared. Well, I guess it's a little bit green, guys. And every single part of your system over and over and over and over and over again would be green sky, green sky, green sky, green sky, until a massive percentage of this population would look up at the blue sky and say, it is green. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Jesse, you're nuts. That's so over the top. Okay. Well, get this. St. George Floyd dies, and everybody in the country gets whipped up in a big old frenzy about race in America. Oh, my gosh. The black people were so oppressed, and they're being slaughtered by the thousand by cops. And there's this amazing study out where they went and asked people on the left. They asked them, this is 2021, hey, how many unarmed black men are killed by cops? How many will be killed by cops this year? Most of the respondents on the left said there were over 1,000 killed. This is at the end of 2021. Hey, how many did we have killed this year? They said over 1,000. Just the slaughter of black men. Do you know what the number was? 11. That means at least half this country, when it comes to race in America, at least half this country resides entirely in a world of make-believe. And that's the thing about revisionist history and lies and stuff like that we're talking about. These people do these things. They lie about what is, they lie about what was, because it works. It works. They'll go on television. Have you seen this Andrew Weissman clip? They'll go on television with the most absurd lies everyone knows are lies, and they'll just spout them because they work.
Chris Wray had a very different response to the Black Lives Matter protests over the summer, where they were all over it. The deputy director of the FBI said this was the most significant domestic terrorism event facing the Bureau. That was the Black Lives Matter protests. And yet, when January 6th happened, the FBI really was asleep at the switch.
Huh? You're sitting there screaming, what? They've locked up 1,000 January 6ers with the promise of 1,000 more, and all the Black Lives Matter people are not only getting off scot-free, they're getting paid. What? Well, yes. The sky is green. In a system based on lies, the sky is green. They will lie about what is, and they will lie about what was. And all that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right.
For too long, we've been led to believe that communism is a thing of the past. But the truth is, communism is alive. It's here, and it's infiltrating every aspect of American life. Introducing the Anti-Communist Manifesto by Jesse Kelly, the practical guide for patriots ready to defend our nation from its most dangerous enemy. Discover the shocking extent of communist infiltration in our education system, their alliance with American corporations, and the twisted truth behind environmentalism. This eye-opening book exposes the true face of communism and empowers you to fight back. Join the fight for freedom. Pre-order your copy of the Anti-Communist Manifesto today by going to jessekellybook.com.